Ah, what a beautiful day to visit the beach. I love the beach. Beautiful, quiet waters, lapping gently at the shore. The sound of mermaids off in the distance. I couldn't think of a more peaceful, lovely spot. But fuck all that noise, because I just watched Cruel Jaws, and we're going to talk about it today. Welcome to the theater, pal. You're from the Neighborhood Master Chaos, back with you once again. Yes, we're talking Cruel Jaws, specifically because the fine folks at Severin have just put this out on a beautiful Blu-ray. The movie looks gorgeous. To be fair, I've never seen it before. I've seen clips and trailers and things, so it looks definitely better than the trailers I found on YouTube. This is sort of a good news and bad news with this movie, to be honest. First of all, you notice the title says Jaws 5. It was, I think, filmed under Cruel Jaws, but when it was released, I think in Japan and a couple of other places, it was titled Jaws 5. This is not Jaws 5. This got the movie in a lot of trouble. I don't even know how they were able to release it like this here in the States, knowing how litigious the studios are. Anyway, Jaws 5, Cruel Jaws, directed by William Snyder, also known as Bruno Mattei, infamous Bruno Mattei. If you know the name, you know his films. This was not what I expected. I'm going to be honest, right off the top, it's not what I expected. Unfortunately, and this is part of the bad news, it uses a lot of stock footage. And I don't mean just stock footage of sharks, filmed by divers or whatever, but it uses a lot of stock footage from other shark movies, and they try to blend it in to make it like their shark. As a matter of fact, on the cover, that's a great white shark. In the footage, it's a great white shark. In the movie, the actors keep saying, oh, it's a tiger shark, it's a tiger shark, it's a tiger shark. It's not a tiger shark. Why did they call it a tiger shark if they didn't have footage of a tiger shark? Essentially, what we have here is kind of a ripoff. And not so much a ripoff of, it's ripping off Jaws, but just a ripoff of a ripoff. Because it doesn't even have its own shark. From what I could tell, maybe. There's a couple scenes that I'm thinking, I think they probably had their own animatronic. But then there's a couple times where I'm like, wait a minute, that's from another movie. There's another movie I really liked. It's called Great White, also known as The Last Shark. That was a better movie. Vic Morrow's in that. I want to say James Franciscus, I think, is in that. That's a better movie. I wish that had gotten a big Blu-ray release. Maybe it's hard to get that movie. I know that one got in trouble with Universal initially. But that's a better movie. And a lot of those shots are in this movie. A lot of the shark stuff is in this movie, repurposed as if it was their own movie. Sort of a Roger Corman type of trick where he keeps using the same explosion kind of thing. Which is a shame, because it makes this movie less special, less interesting, and maybe unique, because it's sort of a pastiche of other shark films, but not as, worthy of the kind of treatment that it's getting. I don't think it really deserved this kind of treatment. I would rather have seen Last Shark, or Monster Shark. That's a great one. Actually, there's a special feature on here I'll talk about in a minute that mentions Monster Shark. Those are better movies, I feel, because they've got their own unique monster or, animal featured. And I think this one is just really, there's something about this movie that really just doesn't work for me. We should talk about the plot. Now, keep in mind, I'm not going to be using any footage of the movie. I've been running into a lot of copyright claims due to reviews, and I even got a strike for a review that you will not see. It was for Train to Busan 2 Peninsula. FYI, I didn't like it. It's not a good sequel. Anyway, I'm not going to be using any footage because of that. I'll just be using still images, so I do apologize. The still images get a little boring, but that's what I've had to do just to be able to get these reviews out there. I can, however, do a reenactment. There you go. Cruel Jaws is essentially Jaws. There's nothing really different about it except it takes place in Florida. There's a shark roaming the waters. It's a tiger shark. There's a young guy who's sort of the Richard Dreyfuss of the group. He's kind of the lead. There's a sheriff who's kind of the Brody of the group. There's no Quint, which I think is interesting that they kind of left that character out of there. But you've got a Hooper, you've got a Brody, and you've got a Swedish guy who runs a failing aquarium slash dolphin sanctuary kind of thing that's being threatened by the mayor and this property owner guy who's kind of like the Mayor Vaughn kind of character, and it's basically almost it's sometimes word for word and plot point by plot point a Jaws ripoff, completely a Jaws ripoff. Nothing unique about it except for the fact that they change a couple of characters. Like there's that Swedish guy who owns the aquarium. There's some young love, Romeo and Juliet type of thing happening. But beyond that, you're essentially getting Jaws, and you're getting kind of a boring version of Jaws with a lot of extraneous dialogue and character development. It just falls flat and is uninteresting, and you just kind of want it to end, honestly. You're like, just get to the shark. And honestly, Jaws is a high bar. Jaws is a high bar. You can't match Jaws. I get that. But you can try. And like I feel like The Last Shark does a really good job developing characters that are interesting and unique and different. Here, everybody falls flat. Here, the acting is on almost a Tommy Wiseau level. The sheriff, the Brody, oh man, he has so much trouble delivering lines. It's just, the acting here is not great. But I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest. And I will say the movie is moderately entertaining, which is another part of the bad news. It's only moderately entertaining. I actually fell asleep watching this movie, which is rare for me. And it was in the middle of the day, too. I fell asleep. My son had to wake me up. I was watching it with Little Master. I'm like, wow, what did I miss? And he just said, just more talking. I rewound it just wherever and I caught up. And there is one awesome scene, and it involves the sheriff using his helicopter as a fishing line, and he dangles a giant piece of meat into the water, and he tries to catch the shark, and the shark bobs up and tries to catch it, and then eventually brings the helicopter down. Great sequence. But I'm almost not sure if that's even a part of this movie for real. I don't even know if that's repurposed. It could be repurposed. That's the thing with this movie. I don't even know what came from this movie or not, and they just shot reaction shots of the actors to blend into the footage. Essentially, pal, what I'm telling you is I'm pretty disappointed with this movie overall. I was expecting something really bonkers. I mean, it's described on the back as the Troll 2 of shark movies. Brazen, bold, the craziest thing you'll ever see. And honestly, it was the tamest and lamest of these Jaws ripoffs. Apparently, Severin thought highly of it because not only did they release this beautiful version on Blu-ray with nice special features and a nice slip case, but they also did their first novelization for Cruel Jaws, written by Brad Carter. It was really nice. It's a Severin logo there on the spine. These are going to become quite collectible, I imagine. I'm about 60 pages into the book, and here's sort of my capsule review for this. I don't like it, and I hate saying that. But here's the difference. This is a novelization. This is supposed to be a novelization. Okay, I know what the author was trying to do. He was trying to write Jaws. Peter Benchley's Jaws. If you read Peter Benchley's Jaws, it's very different from the movie. There's like a sort of a love triangle between Hooper, Brody, and Brody's wife, which I thought was really odd. And I'm kind of glad they cut that out for the movie because I just don't like that. I feel like that really took away from what the movie or what the story should really be about. So there was a lot of that love triangle stuff. I'm like, no, what? No, I'm glad this is not in the movie. What Brad Carter's trying to do in this is he's trying to write a real book that the movie would have been based on. So he's writing his version of Cruel Jaws, but there's something about this book that just doesn't mix with that version. At times, the book is actually quite pornographic. There's a lot of people doing cocaine. There's a lot of really like graphic descriptions of sex, which is fine. That's great. There's a lot of nudity. There's not a lot of there's some violence and there's some really descriptive gore and some just crazy stuff, right? And I get it. I'm a novelist. I know you have to pump shit up a little bit because you can't do a 90-minute movie in 300 pages. There's just not enough meat. So you do have to add meat to it. But this book goes in such a kind of dark direction in terms of like the characters' thoughts and what the characters do. I read this first. I read the first 60 pages first before seeing the movie. And I was like, damn, this movie's going to be insane. This is like almost an X-rated movie. But then I watched this. And this is like G. I mean, there's no nudity, there's no sex, there's no drugs. I think maybe there's not even any alcohol drinking in it, which is rare for an Italian movie. From what I remember, there's no alcohol in it. This is almost a G-rated fucking movie compared to this thing. This thing reads like I'm reading some kind of like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas with sharks, and then I get this, and maybe that kind of added to my disappointment. The movie's very tame. I even watched the supposed Snyder cut, which is a Japanese cut, which had, I want to say 2, maybe 4 minutes extra of gore. I couldn't tell the difference. I couldn't tell you, yes, watch that version. Holy crap. I would have rather appreciated a trashy, cheesy pulp novel, which I think kind of they were going for. But then there's bits of it that feel too dramatic and too like over serious and really dark, and kind of take the fun out of what this could have been. Does anybody else have this problem? The slip is so tight on this that it takes some effort to pull that out. I've never noticed that before on any other release. Cruel Jaws, here's the cover. Here is the back. There's a really great special feature on here. Rebecca McKendry, I should say Dr. Rebecca McKendry, she has a PhD now, does a really amazing special on sharksploitation. It's about 20 minutes, and she kind of covers the gamut. Will I be watching it very often? No, I won't, because it's very, very dull, and the fact that it doesn't really have its own proprietary shark is very disappointing, very disheartening to me. There is one great scene in the movie where these people are fighting the shark off with shotguns, and the lady grabs a thing of gasoline, and I guess she assumes she's going to set the shark on fire, but she pours the gasoline on herself, they shoot off a flare, the boat explodes, and I swear to God, they use footage from Jaws 2. I'm 100% sure it was that boat explosion scene where the girl uses the flare. I'm going to give it 2 stars. I'm sorry. I wish I could rate it higher. I really wanted to love this movie. I wanted to love it so much. I wanted to give it 5 stars, point blank, not even watching it. But I was very disappointed. Well, pal, that'll do for me. The theater's about to close. Did you watch it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? I want to hear your opinion. Please, this is a two-way conversation. I want to know what you thought of it. If you thought it was great and probably the best shark movie ever made, amazing. I'm so happy for you. I want to hear all about it. Did you love the book? I hope you did. I hope you really enjoyed it. But let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. If you do, you'll see me tomorrow. Mastercast comes at you daily. And I will be doing Mastercast theaters here and there, and in which case, I'll be coming at you twice. All right, pal, time to pull the curtain across the silver screen. Remember, stay out of the water. And until we meet again, I wish it very pleasant good day, good evening, and good night, wherever you are. This has been your friendly neighborhood Master Chaos, and you've just been entertained.